So, Harry,
Yeah.
what is the strangest place that you've ever spent the night?
Oh, okay. I think I've got two options here.
Okay.
One of them would probably have been when I first moved to Leeds. I lived with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
However, he did not have a spare bed. So it's not really the strange place I spent the night. It's more the strangest sleeping arrangement. But I slept on an armchair, a coffee table, and a stool. That's what I made a bed out of.
That sounds very comfortable. It's the kind of thing only a 19-year-old could sleep on, or a 15-year-old.
Supported my upper back, my bum, and my feet. It just about worked.
Well, that
It
sounds
was
horrendous.
more comfortable than the hardwood floor.
Okay, well,
I'd say that the strangest single place I've slept probably or stayed the night would be at an old job working in a hotel. There was a work Christmas do. I think for whatever reason there weren't any guests in, and the managers were like, "Hey, it's an open bar," and so everyone just helped themselves to the bar, and it was crazy. And I woke up in the bridal suite.
alone?
Yes.
Was there a strange transvestite man just pouncing on top of you? Did you do the time warp?
No, I didn't do the time warp. Not that time.
Oh, okay.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are picturing prequels, sequels, and spin-off ideas to Rocky Horror Picture Show. We'll also be picturing some drinking games and hearing other sequel pitches from our Twitter followers. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most flamboyant parties.
Mm-hmm.
And joining me, as always, the host with the most idea of what the hell is going on in this movie, is John Lucas.
I mean, don't build me up too much just yet. Yeah? It's a lot of pressure.
So, what do you think of this Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I mean, I love this film, but you chose it, and I'm puzzled as to why. For a number of reasons. Firstly, it just didn't seem like a very you kind of thing to pick, and also like it has a sequel that nobody's seen.
Sure.
And as you mentioned, it's not an easy one to write sequels for because this film does not make a lick of sense.
Yeah, I forgot how little sense this actually made.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I feel like I've watched this in the past year or two, and even then that wasn't the first time I'd watched it. I remember barely anything about this.
Sure.
That seems to be my thing now.
Okay. Just this podcast just is documenting the slow deterioration of your memory at this point.
Yeah.
You'd be dribbling in a corner on your own by episode 250. So.
Yeah. So I didn't remember that he died at the end.
No? Yeah.
There were multiple deaths at the end.
I mean, I wouldn't say it matters in the scheme of like, oh no, we can't have a sequel and bring him back. That would make any sense.
Yeah.
That'd break the chronology. Like, I mean, come on. Does not matter.
No, not at all.
Did you enjoy this rewatch?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good.
It's weird though. I mean, everyone
Goes
knows
without
this film is
saying,
weird.
Yeah.
This film it doesn't make any sense at all, and I think that's kind of its charm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
One of its charms. But it's a more enjoyable experience to go and watch it in a movie theater with loads of people.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I don't think this is even really what you'd qualify as a film. I think it is much more of an experience than it is a film. It's something to be experienced. And yeah, I mean, famously, this film was kept alive, became this huge cult classic because of midnight showings. Yeah. Like people going, like The Room, but not as bad, obviously. But people going to this film and just loads of audience participation, singing along, playing along, just all kinds of crazy hijinks. And I think that is what that's the joy of this film, and that is the secret to its success. You're right. Watching it back this time, I enjoyed it a lot as well. I always do, but I definitely think you lose something just watching it like on your own on the couch on like a Tuesday. It's not that kind of film. It's a party. It's an experience.
I mean, unless you just sort of you really go for it, and you shout at the screen in all the right times, and even though you're watching it by yourself, you still throw rice everywhere and toilet roll.
Cleanup was a nightmare.
Yeah. You've done a terrible job.
I know.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's all right when you just watch it by yourself.
How old were you when you first watched it?
20-ish.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a childhood thing.
Okay, that was what I wondered because I think.
But my first experience of this was in Hyde Park Picture House.
Oh, okay, sure. So our local cinema. So you did see it in a cinema then. You got the full experience that time.
And one of the weird traditions about this is that people call they call Janet a whore,
Yeah.
and they call Brad like an asshole or something.
Yeah, some of the games are weird. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, she gets the hard end of that. It's not very nice.
for sure. Yeah,
But one thing that I remember about my first experience of this film was that nothing else, none of the other audience traditions happened before that. The first thing that happens is just random insults, and I'm like, this feels really uncalled for. She's done nothing wrong.
So the first thing that happens is that the whole audience just starts shouting that Susan Sarandon is a whore.
Yeah, like no one's throwing rice or loo roll at this point, or
Okay.
any of the other weird things.
I mean, did you come prepared? Did you know there was going to be audience participation?
No.
Okay, wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, when I was watching this kind of weird film that's not really got into it yet, and like the car's just broken down or something. Oh, whoa!
Well, is this like on minute 3 when she's just getting married? Because that would be
sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh wow!
I don't remember specifically. It was a while ago, but yeah.
That's amazing.
And then when it gets to like throwing rice and loo roll and stuff, I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And then I think somebody explained it to me like it's all part of the tradition. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me, but okay. At least I know something's going on
Someone took pity on you.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad you had that experience because I think one of the keys to enjoying and appreciating this movie is when and how you first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a film that is.
Whereas on like The Room, for example, which my first experience was doing it here.
Yeah.
And nobody told me it was a bad film.
True, yeah.
So I just watched it by myself completely sober.
Oh, you did, didn't you? That was a mistake.
Such a bad time.
Yeah. Well, that's no one's fault but your own. Yeah.
I feel like it's everyone's fault but my own.
Well,
no one told me that was a bad film.
I'm sure you must. Well, you should have known more about. There must have been a hint. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like the Rocky Horror Picture Show is a film that is both unsuitable for children, but also you should absolutely watch it as a child.
Okay.
It's kind of both at the same time. Because I think it's for me, I think it's one of those films that you watch. You know how like some children's films don't really have plots. It's just but it's just like the excitement and the colours and the music just makes kids really happy.
Yeah.
This film's like that in a way. It's like I said, it's an experience. It's a audio visual, experience, and also it's like watching. I think for a lot of people, it's it's like the first kind of time you. How do I put it? It feels very like transgressive and like naughty, but in a fun way.
Yeah,
it's not like watching something super upsetting, like It's not like making a kid watch Schindler's List when they're like 5 or something, But like you watch this and you're like, oh, people are weird. Some people are freaks, and I like it. Like
you say that people should watch this as a kid. What sort of age?
Oh, I feel like 8, 9 and up, like for sure.
Okay.
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't show it to like a toddler.
No.
I think that might just give them nightmares, but
Or they'd just be bored and
they wouldn't get it. Yeah, I don't
just
think
wouldn't go
they'd
in,
engage with it.
yeah.
No. You need to be young enough that you're not really worldly wise about the world. I think it's a really good like first formative cinema experience. I think if you watch this at the right age, it will stay with you.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's a core part of growing up is watching films that you maybe shouldn't be watching a little bit.
Probably shouldn't. Yeah.
As an upcoming gunkle in training, I am very much looking forward to making your children watch some very inappropriate films at a very young age. So.
Great. Well, I can't wait
for
to end
that,
our friendship.
Yeah.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey. It seemed a fairly ordinary night when Brad Majors and his fiancée, Janet Weiss, 2 young, ordinary, healthy kids, left Denton that late November evening to visit a Dr. Everett Scott, ex-tutor and now friend to both of them. It's true, there were dark storm clouds, heavy, black, and pendulous, toward which they were driving. It's true also that the spare tire they were carrying was badly in need of some air. But they, being normal kids and on a night out, well, they were not going to let a storm spoil the events of their evening. On a night out. It was a night out they were going to remember for a very long time.
So we both liked it. That's good. Now you have the enviable task. Oh, come on.
Well, okay. So, Rocky Horror Picture Show
Yeah.
came out in 1975.
Yeah, I'm always amazed how old it is, just especially when you watch it. Like, they got away with so much. It feels
It's like,
so
what,
progressive.
46 years old now or
Yeah,
something?
this film came out like 8 years after whatever happened to Baby Jane. You know?
Yeah.
That was what really struck. I was like, wow.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
God. How did it do? Like,
Oh, it was a complete disaster.
right, okay. What, like, was this film aimed to be like a really commonly accessible film, or did it aim to be what it was?
Oh no, that's the thing. It was barely released. That's when it first came out. It was barely released because it was incredibly transgressive. You know, to get a film that has all this kind of sexual imagery and homosexuality and transvestitism and violence and also a plot that is completely incomprehensible.
I know it's said a lot in this film, but is transvestite a word that we use these days? I'm not sure.
I don't think I can definitively answer that.
Okay.
My understanding is that yes, if you distinguish very clearly between a transvestite and a transgendered person.
Okay.
Because a transvestite, to my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, forgive me. I mean no offense. My understanding is a transvestite is a heterosexual man who just gets off on wearing women's clothes.
Right.
Who just thinks it's a bit kinky, a bit of a fetish. That's a transvestite. And a transgendered person, obviously, is a person who is born into the different genders to which they later identify.
Yeah.
Transsexual, not so much. I think that term has kind of gone out.
Okay.
We'd prefer to say a transgendered person now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
So, elements of this film obviously haven't aged brilliantly. But I mean, this film is not offensive to anyone, apart from maybe very conservative people.
These terms change a lot.
Exactly.
All the time. And like I said,
Language evolves.
This film's 46 years old.
Yeah, language evolves. And this film is absolutely like a celebration of being a freak.
Yeah.
Not them saying people who are trans. Oh, that came out. You know what I mean, though, of being
I know
not
exactly what you
normal.
mean. Yeah.
Of being subversive and of being whatever you want to be. Because even though he's technically the villain, I think Frankenfurter is very much the aspirational character in all of this.
Is he the villain in this?
I don't know. In parts. I mean, he's not. I don't think he is. But I mean,
No, I didn't take him to be a villain.
No, but I mean, he does kill Eddie.
Yeah.
He is the antagonist.
But we didn't know what Eddie was.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying
Eddie
is,
might have been a serial killer he tried to lock up.
true. I mean, there's a whole song about how he was a terrible person when he was alive. So sure. But what? No, I mean, like, you don't come out of this film really rooting for Brad. Like, oh wow,
No.
Brad's amazing. Like,
But
Brad's so milquetoast.
Who are you rooting for?
For Frankenfurter, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he dies, but like, that's what I mean. Like, he is the whatever he but might be a transvestite or from the land of transsexual, whatever they call it. But whatever that is, he is that, and he's the character who is all the transgressive things, who has sex with men and with women, and all these kind of things. And he's the character who's memorable and fun, and you want to see more of. It's not a film that like punishes him or makes him out to be this demon that needs to be vanquished. He is absolutely the star turn, and that's what I mean. So it is very interestingly transgressive for its time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but to answer your question, it's the film. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was a musical first, and the musical had done well, and so they made it into a film.
Okay.
So Richard O'Brien, who plays Riff Raff in the film, the bald guy. Well, I know him as a bald guy, but obviously he's got the lank blonde. I hope not his real hair. He wrote the film, and it's like he described it as his love letter to bad movies, like B movies.
Yeah.
All these like cheesy old. Remember when we did Ed Wood?
Yes.
I know that wasn't the film that you particularly loved.
No, but I can definitely see like the similarity. In
Yeah,
this.
those films that are depicted in Ed Wood are the films that this film is a love letter for. These kind of cheap, or that film we did watch for a bonus episode one time, The Brain That Wouldn't Die. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
That those really weird low budget 60s B movies that probably didn't make a lot of sense themselves. So this film is like a love letter to that. Or the play was anyway. So he does this play, it becomes this underground sensation. It eventually gets enough funding to be a film. I mean, even though it has Tim Curry and Susan Sarandon in it, neither of those people were stars. So it's not like this was it's like if Jennifer Aniston, or I don't know why she came to my mind, but it's not like some A-listers today would make making that film. It was definitely an underground independent little thing that got made and then swiftly disappeared, got buried by the studio, got a very limited release, and then it just kind of word of mouth, just people started showing it at midnight in like cities, and then it just became a whole thing, and it's now the longest continuously running film of all time.
Is it?
Yeah, you can go. I mean, it's Halloween now, but it's apart from in coronavirus, I think that it probably at some point in the past year it probably wasn't on anywhere because there were no cinemas open literally anywhere in the world. But there are certain places in America and maybe in the UK too where it's literally always at least once a week they do a showing.
Wow.
It is that popular. So
Wow.
yeah.
Poor projectionist.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the background for it. And yes, I don't think. I think Tim Curry had been in the play. I think a lot of the people had been in the play and had originated the roles. I think the only two people who weren't were Brad and Janet. I think they Susan Sarandon wasn't in the musical.
Right.
They were added on. I think the studio wanted some Americans in it to help sell it, even though they never actually sold it to anyone. So, yeah.
Sure. Okay, so this film, it opens with, I think Brad and Janet are attending a wedding.
Yeah. Well, there's the opening credits first, which is the
The opening is it's long.
full opening credits with a full length song just sung by a pair of lips.
Yeah.
It is Magenta's Lips, the redheaded domestic girl, but it's Richard O'Brien singing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really was wondering if the voice and the lips lined up.
Yeah. They do not.
No.
But it's an iconic image of those like ruby red lips, like sparkling, and then the full credits of the film, like even down to like the grip and the sound engineer.
Yeah.
It really goes on.
It's one of those songs as well that you always think that it's sort of wrapping up, that it's finishing.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And then it's like, another verse. Okay, still going.
Science fiction, double feature.
We're about 5 minutes in, but sure. Yeah, great. So after that, Brad and Janet are at a friend's wedding. And I did notice that in the background there's Riff Raff and Magenta.
And
Tim Curry.
And Tim Curry, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Dressed as like this old painting of like these mad old farmers. Yeah.
Yeah, which I liked. Yeah, so I thought that it was going to be the happy couple. It was going to be their story, but no. And then that's where my favourite song of the film comes in.
Dammit, Janet.
Dammit, Janet.
It is good, yeah.
Which is it's just hilarious. But
it's all about the backing vocals.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. But I was also disappointed that my favourite song has already been. Oh shit.
Peaks too soon.
Yeah. Oh damn it.
A lot of the best songs are in the first half, to be honest.
Yeah. As with most musicals, I find.
True, they often front load them, yeah.
Yeah, there's all the good music is in the front, and then in the back half, it's just the plot.
Yeah.
Which is often not so good and less fun.
Sometimes they hold the good songs towards the end. Like, you have to get through a lot of Cats before you get to Memory. There's a whole lot of Jellicle nonsense before you get to that one good song.
Is Memory a good song, or is it just a good song by comparison?
Oh, no, I think Memory's a good song.
Okay, sure. If you say so. I don't remember what happens next.
Well, they're at this wedding. First of all, I have to point out one of my favourite parts about this wedding scene. Yeah. But before Dammit Janet kicks in, is the awful overdubbing, like the voice, the ADR.
Oh, I didn't notice this.
Oh, it's so funny. Nobody's voice sounds remotely human, and they're all clearly in like.
Oh yes, I did. I did notice.
And they all sound like the record.
Strange.
They all sound like the recording in like a bucket with like a potato on a mic stand or something. Like it's. Yeah. It sounds so weird, and part of it's probably because it's a cheap film, and part of it's I hope deliberate to make it that scene even more surreal, because the whole scene is just a little bit odd.
It reminded me of the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, very much
like
so. I got that.
Everyone has a different voice.
Everyone does have that. Yeah, that up here. We are the lollipop guild kind of sound. Yeah, it's definitely that. Yeah.
Were the Munchkins from Liverpool, where you came from?
No, I was doing the Lollipop Guild song. It's not very good. Yeah.
Sound like your Liverpool voice.
Well, I had to disguise it a little bit for so we wouldn't get sued. So
sure.
Masking.
Congratulations.
Well, I guess we really did it, huh?
Yes, but then we get to the Dammit Janet song. You're right, where Brad, because this is Brad and Janet, who are hero and heroine, I guess.
Yeah.
They are at their friend's wedding. He's been the best man, it seems, and then he sings his love to. She catches the bouquet. It's a classic wedding scene, and then he sings his love to her with the very unenthusiastic help of the remaining cast, who are all just sour faced in the background. I really like. There's a moment when he just draws our love heart in chalk on the church door, and and then he just turns around and keeps singing, and in the background they just clean it right off. Yeah, instantly just start cleaning. With no expression, they just start cleaning it right off again.
Nice.
It's great. So yeah, they get engaged, I guess, is the purpose of the Dammit Janet song. And they decide to go on a little drive for the night to go and find their college professor, Dr. Scott, who I guess introduced them, to give him the happy news that they are engaged.
Yeah.
And that is what they do.
Yeah. They go for a drive in the worst storm in the world.
It's a classic dark and stormy night horror movie staple.
Yeah. Is this a horror movie?
No, but I mean, it's called the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's got horror elements.
I guess. And yes, the road closes, and
they end up at a dead end. Yeah,
they end up at a dead end, and they blow out a tire.
Yeah,
and he's not got a spare tire packed. So they can't drive the car anymore. But he's like, oh, I think I saw a castle a couple miles back, and so.
I really picked up on the fact that he said, oh, yeah, remember that castle we passed a few miles back?
Yeah.
And then how long are they walking in that torrential rain?
Yeah. Yeah.
With her just with this tiny little, like, newspaper over her head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's never talked about that they're soaking wet.
No, or the fact that it must be incredibly cold, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so, yeah, they walk all the way back to this castle. There are some bikers around.
There's lots of motorbike references in this film, yeah.
Yeah.
That don't really fully go anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
I assume they're just other guests who went to that.
Yeah, everyone just arrived via motorbike,
party,
sure,
if you
yeah.
can call it a party.
Yeah. Oh, it's a party.
It's a lot of weird things.
Yeah.
They arrive at this castle and they are welcomed by who we presume to be like the butler or something.
Riff Raff, yeah. Richard O'Brien.
Who is Riff Raff. And yeah, they want to use the phone. He takes them into into a back room where there is a party going.
I really, really love Susan Sarandon in this film.
Yeah.
Because she to me, is so funny. Because she's kind of playing what could be a bit of a nothing character, but she makes that character so funny in such little ways that I really liked. I don't know why it tickled me so much, but when Richard O'Brien they're standing in the doorway and it's like torrential and they're obviously dripping wet, and he very deadpan just goes, "You're wet," and just something about the way she says, "Yes, it's raining." But there's something about the way she says it with the pause, the pregnant pause is just one of it really made me laugh. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad she knows what sort of film that she's in.
Oh, she is chewing up all the scenery. Yeah, she knows exactly what she's in. I think she's really fantastic in this.
Yeah. So they're brought into this back room where there's a group of people who they have already started doing the time warp without them.
Isn't that? Don't you just hate that when people start doing the time warp without you? So rude. Now, what I love about the time warp, which is the most famous song from this film, I would say the best song from the film.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it is literally filler. It contributes nothing to the slim premise that is the plot of this film, and it is literally filler because it was written in at the last minute because it was too short.
All right.
And they needed something to fill an extra 5 minutes. So they just wrote this extended crazy song, which turned out to be like by far the most catchy, hit-worthy song in the entire film. And it was just thrown in there to kill some time.
Brilliant.
Like Frankenfurter's not even in it.
Yeah.
It's literally just a complete filler scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Like, an amazing song, obviously, a classic. And I just love all the characters in it. All the extras who like keep popping up through this movie, who are just this real collection of freaks from Central Casting, like just like really a real bunch of oddballs, like all ages, shapes, and sizes, all in like cheap Party City kind of wigs and costumes. It's great. Also, we meet Magenta, who just makes one of the all-time great cinema arrivals in a film, like first entry into the scene, just descending ass backwards down a banister while cackling and dressed as a maid.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, she's good.
She's
Just
amazing.
love it when people are having fun in movies.
That's what I mean. Everyone in this movie is having the best time. And I think that is why it's become what it is, because that kind of fun is really infectious.
Yeah.
It's totally infectious. If this film was like taking itself, I mean, I don't know how this film could take itself seriously, but if it wasn't as like winking and in on the joke as it is, it wouldn't be half of what it is. It works so well because everyone is just having a ball.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you having a party?
You've arrived on a rather special night. It's one of the master's affairs.
Oh, lucky him.
You're lucky. He's lucky. I'm lucky. We're all lucky.
So, yeah, they do the time warp again.
A step to the left and a step to the right. Yeah.
I love the back and forth with the guy who's narrating.
Oh yeah, we
it as
also
well.
meet a narrator who's like this very serious looking man in a darkened office who's like, he just randomly pops up with narration that is completely unnecessary, utterly unnecessary, doesn't add anything really, but is very funny.
And I'd completely forgotten about this guy, and he came in, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this guy's going to have like 2 lines or something and never be talked about again.
Oh no, he keeps cropping up.
And he does kind of he keeps cropping up, but like he definitely fades away into the background. Yeah. So that's all fun.
Yeah.
And then the elevator comes down, and out comes Dr. Frankenfurter.
Tim Curry. Amazing. You know, we have not had enough occasion on this podcast to talk about how amazing Tim Curry is.
He's great, isn't he?
We did Clue.
Yep.
I think that's all the Tim Curry we've done.
Well, if his other major films, they're kind of franchise stuff.
True, it's
or
hard.
He just does a lot of voice work.
That is true. There's not a huge amount of stuff to work with, but oh my god, like you said, you thought he was your favorite actor from the 70s, and I would tend to. I don't think you were specifically a 70s person.
No,
but
I don't know. I just this film was from the 70s.
Sure. But I love Tim Curry.
Yeah.
I will stand by this, and I mean this absolutely seriously. He should have won an Oscar for Muppet Treasure Island.
For Muppet Treasure Island?
For everything
Really?
he's done.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah.
I would stand by say his performance in Muppet Treasure Island is Oscar worthy.
Is it?
It is amazing. Have you
Really?
seen Muppet Treasure Island?
Yeah.
It's so good. He makes you cry. Well, it made me cry.
Does he?
He gets really like emotional in a stupid Muppets movie, which he's also incredibly funny in. There are scenes when he is like legit moving. It's a really good performance.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, the bit at the end when he says goodbye to Jim Hawkins, gets me every time. Every time.
Who's Jim Hawkins again?
The little annoying blonde kid.
Oh, it was an actual kid that.
Yeah.
That one. Okay. I just thought it might be one of the Muppets. I don't remember. I don't like the Muppets.
It's a classic. It's the best Muppets film, I think.
Yeah, no, you're probably right, but I don't like the Muppets.
Yeah, I know. Let's not talk about it. It's too upsetting. But anyway, Tim Curry, amazing in everything, and iconic in this.
When was the last time you watched it? The Tim Curry version?
Oh, around the time of the first It movie, and yes, it's aged horribly.
So not terribly long ago.
No. No, it's aged horribly, but he's the only good thing in it.
He's really good.
He's
in it.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
He's amazing in everything, and so different in everything that he's done. It's not like he just does one thing. He's so versatile. It's such a shame he doesn't really act anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. And oh my god, yeah, what an iconic entrance! Just the street sweet transvestite song. I mean, he rips off his he's got like he's got like a cape. He looks like a classic vampire. He just rips it off, and he's got this backwards corset on, and he's got the suspenders and the heels and the little string of mother of pearl necklace for some reason that I really like. The makeup, it's just instantly iconic. It's fantastic.
It really is. It's just
magnetic to watch.
I think it's his most iconic look.
Oh, by far.
Do you think it's the most iconic role?
Yes, definitely. I mean, he's had so many.
Yeah.
But this is it's next level. I mean, it's as soon as he comes on, you're like, that is iconic. That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And very sexy
love
in a
it,
weird.
Yeah. Like even though I don't go that way, it's very sexy.
It is very sexy. Yes, I think that's the other thing about it. That character is this. It just oozes sexuality in this really watchable way, and that makes it really fun as well. It's the key to the movie being successful. So
yeah, big time. Yeah. So he introduces himself.
He does
through the medium of song
of sweet transvestite. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked how his song took an interlude in the middle.
Yeah.
With the music kept going, and he just stops and goes and has a fag, and him and Susan Sarandons have a conversation.
Yeah, I know.
And like that's still the song's still going.
Yeah.
Just he's not singing anymore.
Yeah.
It's good. What's the conclusion of that?
Well, the song finishes, and then Brad and Janet, who've just kind of been watching all of this and reacting with bewilderment, as you would, I guess, they then get stripped down to their under things for reasons unclear.
Yeah.
But
said their clothes are wet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess that's why. Sure. Yeah. So they're stripped down to their under things. So we get the first appearance of Susan Sarandon's boobs, and also
they never go away.
They never. No, they're very much present for the rest of the film. Yeah. And Brad and his gigantic Y fronts, like just the biggest Y fronts you've ever seen in your life. Like,
oh yeah.
They go like right under his nipples.
Was he wearing a nappy?
It looked like an adult nappy, an adult diaper.
A giant nappy.
Yeah,
Not an adult nappy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, it's some interesting looks, but they get stripped down, and then they all take the elevator up to the laboratory, which is this very kind of fleshy, vaginal pink kind of room, where Frankenfurter is waiting for them in his new costume, which is like a doctor's smock.
Yeah. I mean, it mostly just looks like he's thrown a dress over what.
Well, he has, because then he pulls it off again later. But yes, it's still an iconic look.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's all kinds of shit going on in the laboratory. So all the other guests there, like on a observation deck sort of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
I love one of the joys of this movie is to play like spot the extra, like in group scenes. Just watch what the extras are doing, because a lot of them obviously are not professionals. they're all looking like, some of them are like really enjoying themselves. Some of them like don't quite know what to do with their hands. It's great.
From here on out, I kind of lose it. I don't really know what's going on from this point. There's some hairy Frankenstein
Very much so. Well, the first thing that happens is
in
that
this scene. I know that the whole film is kind of that anyway.
Well, it's every horror movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, this is where he introduces Rocky.
Yes.
So Rocky is this creation that he's been working on, basically Frankenstein, a sexy Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I love this. So in order to bring Rocky to life, Rocky is in a kind of a glass case filled with like amniotic fluid or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the scene when like all the lights go down and Tim Curry is just doing this frantic knob twiddling, just like of all the taps, because there's all these different kinds of water that are pouring in. And it looks ridiculous, but apparently there was a very specific order in which he was directed to twiddle his knobs.
All right.
And so Richard O'Brien, who was also directing the film, is just standing off stage, apparently just shouting like yellow, red, left, far right, just and poor Tim Curry's just having to like really just hit it perfectly. Great.
Why?
I know, just because it's silly. And he went for it, and it's great.
Yeah.
So he rouses up Rocky. Rocky, I think people who've not seen the film would think that Tim Curry is Rocky. He's not. Rocky is the monster, or the sexy, muscly, giant man, who can't act.
No.
Cannot act.
No.
God bless him. He has many a muscle. So yeah.
Yep.
And
it's so clear that that's the reason that he got the part.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
and he's
the camera
admitted that.
is always looking at it, and like he's twitching his pecs and stuff, and it's
Oh no, the guy's since he's not. I don't think he made any other movies. He's
always completely oiled up.
Very oily, yeah. And Tim Curry is just crazy for him. Like Frankenfurter is like, crazy for him. There's a whole song about he's going to make him a man. It feels like he's already there, really, but I don't know. There's more to do. I loved he gives him these peppermint dumbbells.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
Well, they're wrapped up like presents.
Yeah, it's an incentive to keep working out because you can just lick them as they go up. But yeah, there's this whole song, the "I'm Gonna Make You a Man" song, in which Tim Curry just basically chases Rocky around the lab and just is all over him, just all over, molesting him essentially. And then Meatloaf turns up.
Yep. Yeah.
Crashes through a wall.
Very random. I don't know how or why this happened.
Well, the explanation they give in the film is that Frankenfurter has taken half of Meatloaf's brain and given it to Rocky.
Okay.
And that's how he brought Rocky to life.
Right.
With Meatloaf's brain.
Should have given him the whole brain.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what they said, But somehow Meatloaf is either still alive or is reanimated because he's got the scar across his forehead, so you can see he's had like bad brain surgery.
Yeah.
There's enough of him left alive anyway, or reanimated. God knows what we're supposed to think is going on here. But enough to perform a very energetic song and dance that, again, makes no sense.
No.
Who's Hot Batusi?
Yeah.
What's it got to do with anything?
Why is he on a motorbike?
Why is he on a motorbike? Well, I think he's just supposed to be a motorbike, a cyclist. That's his gig.
Yeah.
Maybe all of the motorbikes belong to like victims of Frankenfurter. Maybe that's why they're all there.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he just really goes for bikers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's likes that biker look.
Yeah.
But that being said, Rocky doesn't strike me as having that biker look.
That is true. I think he'd be quite unwieldy on a bike.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? But anyway, it seems that maybe the women are supposed to be like luring bikers into the lab, and then Frankenfurter's killing them, because the one who's not magenta, I think she's called Colonial or something.
Columbia.
Columbia is very attached to Meatloaf, so she's very upset when moments later Frankenfurter stabs him to death.
Yes. Yeah. Which is the first violence we get in this movie.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
It's kind of out of nowhere.
It really takes a turn. I mean, it's not what you'd call horrifying. It's still pretty funny.
No, but like, there's trails of blood and stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely a change of pace.
Yeah.
So Frankenfurter very abruptly murders Meatloaf, Eddie. Columbia, did you say?
Yeah.
Columbia is horrified, runs off screaming. Brad and Janet seem unconcerned.
Yeah.
Their reactions to the full murder are kind of like quite muted.
I'm not sure how I feel about Brad and Janet. I'm not sure if I would like to associate with anybody who isn't freaked out by a murder.
Something about them you just don't trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after Meatloaf has been killed, we cut to Brad and Janet separately being seduced by Frank. This is a great scene. They separately get seduced by Frankenfurter in literally the exact same way, like word for word. It's great. I love how Brad just goes gay in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just so fast. Like, no, I love Janet. What if we don't tell Janet? Okay. It's fantastic. So he is, so Rocky is having Frankenfurter is having his wicked way with both Brad and Janet. Meanwhile, Riff Raff and Magenta, they attack Rocky and chase, and he goes running out in terror out of the mansion.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's kind of a bit Frankensteinish, kind of not really, kind of half a brain, so he's not particularly intelligent. So he goes running out and gets chased by the dogs and mauled a little bit. And then at some point, I think Janet finds him because after she's had sex with Frankenfurter, she then goes stumbling around the castle. Like there's all these amazing like cross shots, like weird cuts of her close face up of Janet, just with like this very obviously kind of plastered on tear on the side of her face.
Oh yeah.
And she's just going, "Where's Brad? Where's anybody?" Right, she's chewing all the scenery. It's great. But she stumbles back into the lab and she finds Rocky, who's been injured, and he's cowering and he's scared and he's upset. And then she has sex with him as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
While being watched on a video camera by Magenta and Columbia. Columbia's kind of got over the fact that Meatloaf's been killed now, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so they're watching on some kind of hidden camera, and they're really enjoying this. Like they are laughing and screaming along. Magenta is very suggestively fondling a very phallic kind of hairdryer of this whole scene. And Columbia's just kind of gnawing and licking on her leg, on her thigh. It's great. They're just having the best time. Like.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Scott interrupts everything. Everything's interrupted, all this crazy sexual shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
I think Frank's having sex with Brad, Janet's having sex with Rocky, Magenta and Columbia are having a lesbian moment while watching Janet and Rocky. Everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Scott rings the doorbell or opens the door and comes in and wheels his way. And he's an old man in a wheelchair. So this is the college professor who Brad and Janet were looking for originally, but he's just coincidentally turned up because he's looking for his nephew, Eddie, who's been missing for some time, which is the Meatloaf character.
Yeah.
And actually, in the original stage show, apparently Eddie and Dr. Scott was supposed to be played by the same people, or were played by the same person, the same actor.
Oh, okay.
And Meatloaf was very disappointed that he couldn't also play Dr. Scott. That would have been weird, but then this whole film's weird. I think I would have liked it.
Yeah, it would have.
Like Meatloaf in like old man's makeup in a wheelchair would have been something.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Would have been a big wheelchair. Yeah.
No, I don't like that, I think.
Yeah, it could have been fun. But anyway, this guy's perfectly fine with his very exaggerated German accent, which is always a good time.
Yeah.
So Dr. Scott arrives on the scene, and then everyone kind of coalesces in the lab, where everyone kind of walks in on everyone kind of walks in on Rocky and Janet having sex. They very much get caught in the act.
Yeah.
And then this fantastic extended moment of just like, Janet, Brad, Dr. Scott, Rocky, Janet, Brad, Dr. Scott, Rocky. So funny. So funny.
Yeah.
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rock!
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rock!
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rock!
Yeah, so they get discovered, and then this is potentially quite a dramatic moment where Brad realizes that Janet's been cheating on him with a Frankenstein's monster thing, but then everything just stops because it's dinner time.
Yep.
This movie makes no sense.
I mean,
fine.
at this point, she has also seen that he has been sleeping with Frankenfurter.
Yeah, I think everyone's clearly,
Yeah.
all bets are off at this point.
Yeah.
But whatever kind of strange confrontation is about to happen is interrupted when Magenta calls everyone down for dinner, and then they have this very strange dinner scene. Frankenfurter's now wearing a cute little party hat and another new dress. And he's very suggestively carving a bit of meat. And Dr. Scott won't shut up about Eddie. He's like, where is my nephew? Where's my nephew? And Frankenfurter basically, he says something like, oh, that Eddie, that's a very, looks at the meat, tender subject. Making it clear that they're all just eating Eddie.
Yeah.
And again, like the understated reaction to the fact that they have now been made into cannibals. Like Brad and Janet just kind of go, and they kind of put the meat down that they've already eaten some of it.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, oh, better stop eating that. Like it's such a muted reaction at me. And then Rocky's obviously still just like chewing away on a big like bone, which is hilarious. But like again, the only one who cares is Columbia, who just runs out screaming again. Everyone else is just kind of like, oh, we ate a person. Like, fair enough. In for a penny.
Yeah. Might have tasted good.
Yeah, and then they do a whole song about how Eddie was no good and he was a bad boy, so he deserved to die, all this kind of stuff. And then Frankenfurter rips off the dinner cloth and reveals Meatloaf's half-devoured corpse just lying underneath the table. Great. And then everyone freaks out.
Yeah.
Then everyone like runs screaming again.
That's the thing that...
Not the fact that they've eaten human flesh, but
No,
the fact
just
that human flesh is now then presented to them. So they go running off, and Janet goes running up and down the stairs, being followed by Frankenfurter. Once again, they all end up in the lab. All roads seem to lead to this lab. Whenever anyone starts running anywhere, the end point is that they all end up in the lab.
Yep.
And then there's a
Even
whole...
if they have to break through walls.
Yep. Well, many people enter that lab through many different methods. Yeah. Yeah, and then they all end up in the lab again, and then Frankenfurter just turns all the other characters into nude statues with his ray gun. Because
so random.
Sure, why not? Yeah. So all the characters except for Frankenfurter, Riff Raff, and Magenta, everyone else has been turned into a nude statue.
Yep.
And then they all get taken into a new room, which is a giant stage, and with a swimming pool.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, because you got to have a swimming pool for your stage. And then he unfreezes them, but they're still being mind controlled to a degree, it seems.
Yeah.
And they all just do a big song and dance number. They're all now dressed like Frankenfurter, which is really fun. They're all in like the backwards corsets and the stockings and suspenders, and so that's quite. Oh, and yeah, they do this whole song and dance. You see a lot of nipple in this scene. A lot of. I think all the women. Yeah, a lot of nipple happening here. Yeah, they do this whole weird cabaret number, which is interrupted by Riff Raff and Magenta, who have now had a costume change of their own, and now they're like dressed as alien overlords, and they explain that they've been the real power behind the whole thing the whole time, and Frankenfurter has failed in his mission, and they are going to go back to their home planet of Transsexual in the galaxy of Transylvania, I think is
something like that. Yes,
possibly the way around. I can't remember. But before they do that, they kill Frankenfurter. Yeah, they shoot him dead with their antimatter ray gun.
It's shocking.
Shockingly, they kill him. Yeah, and then the movie just becomes King Kong for 5 minutes when Rocky himself becomes devastated by Frankenfurter's death, picks up the corpse, flings it over his shoulder, and just climbs up a tower that's randomly been placed in the scene, and eventually gets shot down by Magenta and Riff Raff and falls into the pool. Yep. Dead with Frankenfurter. Yep. And then Riff Raff and Magenta, they set off for their home planet. The entire castle becomes a spaceship. It opens up and the spaceship comes out of it, I guess, and they fly away to their home planet, and leaving Brad, Janet, and Dr. Scott just kind of writhing around on the ground.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, watching them go. And that's the end.
It's a pretty strange movie.
It's a very strange movie and a hard one to summarize, but also a great... I think that's why it's so successful and popular, because it's almost impossible to categorize. It is just a weird thing of its own.
Phenomenon.
It is a phenomenon, yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, Janet. We'll be away from here in the morning.
Oh, Brad, you're so strong and protective.
You! I'm afraid so, Brad. But isn't it nice? Why, you? What have you done with Janet? Nothing. Why do you think I should?
Okay, drinking games. So, drink for a silly voice.
Drink for a silly voice.
Loads of them.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
there's loads at the start, and there's definitely a few throughout.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, I think everyone's putting on a silly voice at every moment, really.
Well, look at a lot of those extras.
Yeah, sure.
They had the Munchkin voice.
Voices that sound a little bit pitch shifted, definitely, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Another very fruitful one here. Drink for Susan Sarandons' boobs. They do make many an appearance. She just looks the same. It's bizarre. Like, she has not aged.
After like 46 years.
In literally almost 50 years, she looks more or less the same. It's quite... She made a deal with the devil, that woman. She really did.
Well done to her.
Yes, indeed.
Drink for the names Janet or Brad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yes. That I mean, many of these drinking games will not be original to us because this film is one of the classic drinking game movies, of course. That's why it's so popular with like group showings. But yeah, anytime the words Janet or Brad leave anyone's mouth, I think especially Janet's, definitely take a drink and you'll have a great time.
Janet.
I mean, damn it, Janet alone would get you nice and pickled for the rest of the movie. Yeah. Drink for weird scene transitions. I loved this. This is very much like, I think part of it being a affectionate love letter to cheesy movies, because every time one scene transitions into another one, it uses a different kind of camera effect, like cheesy. Like you'd see like the slime dripping down from one scene to another, or there'd be like a star wipe or something. Like, there's loads of really funny random transitions, which I really liked.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good one. Drink for a costume change.
I have that too. Drink for a costume change, absolutely. I mean, just for Frankenfurter's costume changes alone.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone gets undressed and redressed, and everyone has. I think every character has at least 2 or 3, maybe except Dr. Scott and Eddie because they don't last long enough. But of like Frank and Magenta.
Dr. Scott does because he's in.
He is in the cabaret, right?
Yeah,
Because his legs are being manipulated.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
You're right. In fact, yes, everyone gets a costume change, apart from poor Eddie.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't last very long. So
yeah, his head turns inside out essentially when it gets smashed in.
Sure, I mean that could be considered a costume change. Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Drink every time Tim Curry breaks the fourth wall.
Oh yeah,
this was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, I noticed this. A lot of just sort of looks towards us or looking directly at us while saying something sexual.
It's funny how this film has a narrator, but also Tim Curry acts as an occasional narrator himself.
Yeah. Drink for sex noises in speech.
Ooh, okay.
So when Tim Curry's just talking and he just talks so sexually, it's a kind of.
I think he just oozes sexuality in this film.
Yeah,
he is just very sexy. Drink for phallic imagery. Lots of phallic objects in this film.
Yes. Drink for underwear or lingerie.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, we've talked about Brad's unspeakable Y fronts, obviously, and Janet's in her lingerie. Also, Rocky himself is in these teeny tiny gold hot pants. Teeny tiny gold hot pants that leave nothing to the imagination.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot, and Frankenfurter's iconic corset, of course. The backwards corset.
Yeah.
Why is it on backwards? Who knows? It looks good.
It looks good. Yeah. That's enough.
Drink for a Susan Sarandon reaction shot.
Oh yeah.
She has some great facial reactions in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good time.
And the last one I've got is drink for smoking.
Do people smoke a lot in this film?
A little bit. Well, Frankenfurter takes that break in the middle of his song to go and have a fag.
Oh, he does. Yeah, you're right.
Brad has a fag after sleeping with Frankenfurter.
That is true. Yeah.
It's well done. Like it's not sort of it's not casual. It's always a punchline. Someone having a cigarette, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, drink every time someone crashes through a wall. That's an obvious one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I've got.
Yeah, no, that's me done too.
Cool.
Bonjour tout le monde, I'm Finn, and every Tuesday I host a podcast called Passport People, in which I talk to people from around the world about the places that matter to them. What is so special about each location? What makes each place tick? Where are they headed? To join us on our round-the-world trip, talking to a diverse range of fascinating people from an incredible variety of professional and cultural backgrounds, search for Passport People in Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right then, sequels.
Yeah, indeed.
Do you want to go first?
I can do if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Mine's not the longest in the world this week. It is hard. It is a hard film to do because, as I say, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, you can just kind of write anything, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, the bonus side of this is that you can literally write anything and be like, oh, yeah, sure, that could happen because, if it's not believable, well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was thinking, obviously, at the end of the original film, the only characters left on Earth are Brad and Janet. And I don't have high hopes for their relationship.
No?
I don't think so. So I feel like...
You don't think they've got some sort of shared trauma? And shared new experiences.
Well, I feel like they have had very different experiences on this night.
Sure.
I think they do get married because it's the olden days, and they've already got engaged, so they might as well. But I think they both over time have very different reactions to the Rocky Horror experience. I think Brad writes the whole thing off as a strange nightmare and goes back to being his boring milquetoast self.
Yeah.
But Janet, on the other hand, for her, best night of her life. She had the best time.
Yeah.
And she just can't get over it, and she becomes obsessed with bringing Frankenfurter and Rocky, who both showed her some good times, bringing them both back. So much so that she secretly, without telling Brad, steals their corpses from the wreckage of the castle. Because I'm just assuming their bodies were left, after the aliens took off, after Riff Raff and Magenta left. So she digs up Frankenfurter and Rocky's kind of broken corpses and hides them in her basement. And then over the years, she can have like this double life where by day she's like this sweet 1950s housewife. When's this film supposed to be set? Who knows?
God knows, because they've got CCTV.
Oh, they do have CCTV. So maybe it's not supposed to be the 50s. It's just the thing is with the original film, the scene before they get to Rocky Horror Picture to the castle. The scene before they get to the castle feels very much like 1950s, but you're right, they do have CCTV.
Could be alien CCTV.
I mean, they probably did the time warp and got it from a Dixon's.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you know? Sorry, I'm going a bit off piece here. Did you know that actually the original idea, and the only reason they didn't go with it is because they couldn't afford the effects, which shows how cheap this movie is. The original idea was that the opening "Dammit, Janet" scene was going to be in black and white, and the film would only become color, Technicolor, when they arrived in the castle.
Right.
Which is basically a
complete rip-off of the
Wizard of Oz. Yeah, that's the thing. It was supposed to be like a reference to Wizard of Oz. And also because in Wizard of Oz...
That one feels less of a reference and more of a rip-off.
Well, it's an intentional, is what I mean, because it's... You know how in Wizard of Oz, the characters of the Lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow also pop up in the beginning of the film. They play Dorothy's friends or the farm workers. So, and obviously in this film, Riff Raff, Magenta, and Frankenfurter are there at the wedding. So I think they were really going for like a Wizard of Oz vibe where like, is this all a dream that Brad and Janet have had kind of thing? So I don't know why I felt the need to say that then.
No, it's an interesting fact.
It is an interesting fact, yeah. So yeah, I'm just thinking of Janet having... So that was it, because I wasn't sure what decade it was. But whether it's the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, doesn't matter. My idea is Brad and Janet are married, and by day she's a perfect housewife, But by night, she's sneaking down into that basement and doing all kinds of botched, crazy, grotesque experiments on the corpses of Rocky and Frankenfurter to try and bring them back to life. So maybe she gets really into like great... You could really like... Obviously, I'm imagining it's another musical.
Yeah.
So you could have a musical song about her being like the perfect housewife, and Brad being so happy his wife's this perfect little stay-at-home housewife, and she's as sweet as candy, and she's always serving fresh baked apple pies, and wearing floral prints and all that kind of stuff, And then by night she's like digging corpses, grave digging, doing all kind of weird brain surgery.
So what's she doing? Stealing body parts to
try and bring them back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
To try and figure out how to revive Rocky and Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
And many experiments fail. Many things go wrong. Years pass maybe, but she keeps on trying newer and newer techniques to make it work. And eventually she manages to bring them back to life. But the only way she can do it is by merging the two of them together.
Okay.
Like how in the original Eddie was killed so that his brain could be transferred into Rocky. So I'm thinking Frankenfurter's brain, Rocky's body.
Right, okay.
Which for Susan Sarandon, pretty damn perfect. Yeah. She's got that, because then this character awakens. I mean, we're going to be asking the guy with the crazy, the Rocky actor with the crazy muscles. We're going to be expecting much better acting from him in this one than the original, because I'm thinking he has to fully channel Tim Curry.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is a character with Tim Curry's wild pansexual vibe.
Well, you could just cast Chris Hemsworth and be done with it.
There you go. Well, I mean, he's perfect for this. It's the role he was born to play.
Yep.
So
he's got the looks and he's got the charisma.
There you go. If you could do a really good Tim Curry in the body of Rocky, that's his Oscar right there.
Yeah,
for sure. I'd pay for that. Yeah.
Just trying to picture Chris Hemsworth in like full makeup.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could pull it off.
I think there's nothing that man can't pull off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Including you, it seems. But yes. But I'm thinking like, then you've got the Rocky physique with the raw, crazy, dark, twisted sexuality of Frankenfurter, which Janet's dream man right there. She's got the best of both of them. But then now she's succeeded in her long-held dream of bringing them back. She has to kind of keep them locked up in the basement to kind of avoid arousing suspicion, which gets harder and harder to do, especially when she becomes pregnant.
Oh,
and the baby is Frankenfurter's baby.
Oh, dear.
And maybe that could be a whole thing. Maybe her and Brad's sex life's kind of petered off, so it's not even possible to be Brad's baby, but he's maybe so clueless he doesn't even realize. He doesn't really do the math or whatever. Like, he's like, so then he's even more happy and clueless, and she's like, oh my God, I'm pregnant with Frankenfurter's baby, which she's secretly very happy about, but also...
So she's told Brad that it's his baby.
Oh yeah, Brad doesn't know that there's all this stuff in the basement. Brad is clueless. Brad is utterly clueless.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, so as she's trying to keep everything under wraps, but Rocky / Frankenfurter, they start like breaking out at night and murdering the neighbors.
Oh God.
So it's just getting harder and harder for Janet to keep all of this together. But she has to try, and that's kind of the comedy of the movie. And then eventually, finally, Brad will, of course, discover the truth. He goes down to the basement. Maybe he becomes suspicious about Janet's irrational, erratic, unusual behavior. Long overdue suspicion. But maybe at some point he goes down into the basement to investigate and finds like the hidden lab, and he sees Rocky / Frankenfurter like chained up or whatever. But of course, as soon as he discovers them,
chained up in like full S&M gear. And
yeah,
looking
absolutely
fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whips, leather basques, the whole lube, the lot. Yeah. So he discovers the lab and is obviously horrified, but is immediately overpowered and kidnapped and tied up by Rocky/Frankenfurter.
Yep.
So then Janet comes down and discovers that she's been discovered, and then Brad gives her an ultimatum. He's like, "You've got to choose, Janet. It's them or me." Mm-hmm. And she, without missing a beat, goes, "Them." He's like, "Sorry, Brad." Again, this could be a song as well. She says, "Sorry, Brad, but I found this new side of myself, this dark side, and I want to be with Rocky and with Frankenfurter." Mm-hmm. And so she does the whole song about how she's wants to be with them now. Mm-hmm. They all murder Brad gleefully.
Oh, poor Brad.
Oh, come on, who gives a shit about Brad?
Oh, he didn't do anything wrong.
Oh dear. Well, I don't care. I think it'd be fun because Brad's like the most bland character. Like, I think it'd be really funny if they just killed him.
Yeah.
They murder Brad, and then they get on a spaceship and fly off to Transylvania to get revenge on Riff Raff and Magenta, which can be maybe the setup for the prequel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Pretty
so
good.
I like
title.
Yes, that was actually the pregnancy thing didn't really play into that very much. I guess she's still pregnant at the end. I don't know because I put like Child of Frankenfurter.
Okay.
Yeah. Because again, I'm thinking of like classic horror movie titles, Child of Frankenstein, or maybe Bride of Frankenfurter, since Janet is her journey on this movie is to be the Bride of Frankenfurter.
Yeah. That works.
Bride of Frankenfurter, that works better. Yeah, because I think I'm also really envisioning her having a physical transformation in this film. Because at the beginning, I think she's this like bored 50s housewife in, like I said, like in a floral print dress and like a very sensible kind of Betty Grable kind of look. And then by the end, I think when she's murdering Brad, she's going to look like Magenta. She's going to have like leather and a corset and like the cleavage again and like the dark makeup and everything. And then when she flies off into space with Frankenfurter, like she's become like, just like, she looks like, like the Bride of Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sticking with that. The Bride of Frankenfurter.
It sounds good to me. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of that.
All right, so mine, because, like I say, I did not understand this movie. I had no idea what was going on, so I tried to make sense of it best I could.
You've done some rhymes, haven't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
What?
I thought you were going to play your rhyming game.
Oh,
that's normally what you do when you get no ideas.
No. Sorry, I thought you were suggesting I was about to start a rap or something.
No, please don't. Please don't.
No. So this is called the Rocky Horror Time Warp.
Okay, the Rocky Horror Time Warp.
Yes. So it turns out that the Time Warp song wasn't just a catchy tune.
Okay. Oh, so what you're doing now, you're not pitching a sequel, you are retelling the original and trying to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah. So it turns out that the Time Warp song wasn't just a catchy tune.
Okay.
By singing and dancing it, you actually travel back in time.
Okay, that will make sense.
That's what it's there for.
Okay. It's a spell.
Yeah. If there are 25 people doing it, there is enough time energy to transport whatever building you're in back in time.
Okay.
In the original, there were only 23 people, which is why they sent out some bikers to go and set a trap to catch 2 more people by bursting their tyre.
Oh, so Brad and Janet were lured into the castle because they needed to make up the 25. I like it.
Yeah, so now they've got a complete time warp. Mm-hmm. And with 25 people doing it, they are able to travel backwards in time with the building and everywhere to where Dr. Frankfurter was alive.
Oh, so Frankenfurter didn't... That's why he didn't arrive on the scene until that song was complete, because he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
He was waiting 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued by this, yeah.
Yeah. As soon as they arrived, Riff Raff and Magenta quickly go and do a little mind control spell on Frankenfurter, so that he'd think they were just his staff or whatever. Okay. He wouldn't bat an eyelid that they're there. The other people that were there, he assumed were just party guests that had shown up for some kind of party that he must have been throwing, had completely forgotten about, but being him, was always prepared for.
You seem like a guy who goes with the flow.
Yeah, yeah. Riff Raff and Magenta, they observe as he does his experiments and shows off Rocky and stuff like that. What they want to do is they want to try and harness the energy from his experiments to help convert his mansion into a spaceship so they can fly home.
Oh, so they need all this to happen so that they have enough power to get home, and that's why they don't turn on him sooner. Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but to actually harness the energy, they need to turn some of the taps.
Turn some what?
Turn some taps.
Oh, in the scene in which Rocky comes to life?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
So they need to do some very specific stuff there, but they need to do it completely without being noticed. So they need to cause some kind of a distraction, some sort. a distraction of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the middle of a song, they turn the freezer off, which defrosts the meatloaf stored inside.
The meatloaf.
Out bursts the rock star, who predictably causes a big distraction until Dr. Frankenfurter abruptly murders him.
Mm-hmm.
From this point, Riff Raff and Magenta know that if they are to successfully leave this place, they need to arm themselves, because clearly Dr. Frankenfurter is a genius mastermind murderer. He's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. That's only just occurred to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they spend the night in building a weapon and some armor, and the next day, while he's having sex in a swimming pool on stage, for whatever reasons that they don't understand, they murder him and Rocky and then fly away in his house. Interval.
Oh, okay. I was going to be like, that was just a short one.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I got to the end of it. I was like, shit, I'm done. So, interval. Maybe this is a stage show. Who knows?
Sure.
From here on, this is new territory. Okay. So Brad and Janet, having lived through and seen the whole thing and been left behind, they know exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm. Do they? I feel like, having watched the film, I'm not clear.
Well,
how are they going to contextualize what they've just seen?
I do not know. Mm-hmm. But they both love Dr. Frankenfurter and they miss him dearly. So
sure, yeah, I get that vibe, yeah.
Because obviously he's died, and so they're quite unhappy about that. They steal a couple of motorbikes parked outside and ride back to the town they came from. Mm-hmm. When they're there, they have a conversation about how sad they are about Frankenfurter, and Janet has a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, I've got the swellest idea. What's that, Janet? I know how we can bring back Dr. Frankenfurter. Oh, gee, Janet, how?
You've really got into dialogue in recent episodes. You've been writing these little scenes for yourself. Yeah.
Let's do the time warp. Again.
Oh,
well, yes, Brad. We know how it goes. Let's do the time warp again and go back and save Dr. Frankenfurter. And that's where I got to. I kind of thought we could just go from there.
Okay.
Essentially becomes a time travel movie.
So they go back in time to... Maybe Frankenfurter faked his own death to get away from... from Riff Raff and Magenta.
Okay.
And actually, him and Rocky are hiding in time. So Brad and Janet are having to explore the past and go back in time all the time.
Right, I see, yeah.
And look for them and chase them through.
So it's a hunt for Dr. Frankenfurter.
Yeah, think of all the songs you could do. Yeah, you could have them with Walking with Dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. You could have them in the Tudor era. You could have it all sorts. All kinds of... I think I like that idea. I like the French Revolution. Just Frankenfurter just showing up with all these crazy historical contexts.
Oh god, yeah, him with one of those big wigs on.
Yeah, he'd fit right in. Yeah. Marie Antoinette, he just looked like a regular courtier. Yeah,
doing a Shakespeare play in the Globe.
And then Brad and Janet, who are so very conspicuously American, having to find ways to fit in and not seem they seem more out of place than he does because they're so conspicuously modern and American.
They're the weirdos.
Whereas he can kind of fit into any time and space because he is only himself. He exists outside of fashion and time and stuff. So
yeah,
I like that. I like that Brad and Janet are just pursuing Frankenfurter through history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's a lot of songs you could have about that.
Yeah, definitely. That could be good. And maybe when they eventually catch up to him, he doesn't want to go back, and so he just keeps running back to new times or whatever. Because
that's all he does. Yeah.
Let's say that he's invented time travel, and he just needed the power from that laser that they shot him with, and that's what activated the time travel in him.
Yeah. Well, maybe what he really needs to do is to go back to his home planet and confront Riff Raff and Magenta, kind of like how my one ended with him getting his own revenge on them. But maybe despite all of his sexual energy and his confidence, maybe he's scared. He's a little scared,
Yeah, maybe
they bullied him. They
a little cry.
Yeah. Well, the reason he's traveling through, he won't admit it, but the reason he's racing through time is to avoid having to go back. And Brad and Janet have to finally catch up with him and make him face his greatest fear, which is confronting Riff Raff and Magenta.
Nice.
And then, much like my one, maybe it ends with the three of them and Rocky if he's still around. I don't know. I lost interest in Rocky for this one. Maybe they head off into space to confront Riff Raff and Magenta.
Yeah. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So that was the Rocky Horror Time Warp.
Mm-hmm.
I nearly called it the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's do the Time Warp again.
Also works.
And then very quickly found out that is also the title of a TV movie of this.
Oh yes, there have been many many less successful adaptations of this film.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. So that's that.
Cool. Very
Business
good.
Missions.
We have a few this week. Although most of our comments this week were just telling us that there already is one, and it's called Shock Treatment.
Great.
Which we knew, but nobody. Well, a lot of people have seen Shock Treatment. It seems, and apparently it's not bad.
All right.
There were a lot of positive comments about shock treatment.
Okay.
Sorry, not seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So just a handful of actual listener submissions this week.
Mm-hmm.
We had Julie Lynn Eberhardt said, just a sequel of Frank flying a castle around space, spreading love to alien races. So I guess that's, I guess not only survived as well, and you're just going from planet to planet.
Mm-hmm.
What if Frankenfurter was brought into the Star Trek? Because the way you were describing yours, I thought you were going to go into a thing where like Brad and Janet were from Starfleet or something.
Oh, right, yeah. No, that would really work. He does feel a lot like Q, doesn't he?
I was going to say he could be a Q.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a rogue Q.
Yeah.
That could really work, yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, that fits that universe, definitely.
Yeah, definitely Star Trek Rocky Horror. That is the unexpected crossover that I think the world's waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Fanning said the Rocky Horror Showdown, a Western-based sequel, like Five Goes West, but even hornier. Joe Herman said Rocky Horror Oculus Rift. Tom Brennan said an American Rocky Horror Story, so to cross over with the American Horror Story franchise and make Frankenfurter the main antagonist of one of those seasons.
That works.
I could see that being done. I don't think I'd like it very much, but I could see it. Yeah. And finally, David Davidson said a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Frankenfurter meets Sylvester Stallone in a boxing match. Yeah. Can't see that one as much, but I can see what he's going for there. A Rocky Horror Picture Show. So yeah. Thank you, everybody, for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including Apple, Google Play, and many others, in all of which you can also leave us a review if you so wish. It does help us to stay on top of the ratings. So do please consider doing that. And next week, Harry, so... next week we are recording episode number 240, which means we only have 10 episodes left.
Oh, God.
The countdown begins. And I think, I think we've already discussed this, for our final 10 episodes, we need to make them big.
Yeah.
We need to make sure these are big episodes.
Yep.
So what could be better? What could be more apt for episode 240? I've started with a big movie. Big.
Have we not done big?
We have never done big.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, that is strange. Okay, now I'll be interested to watch this because I feel like I know this movie really well, which does not feel like that continues the streak that's been going on recently.
No, not at all. I mean, have you definitely watched it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Now we just will have to wait and see until next week if I'm like, I thought I knew this movie really well, but I forgot Tom Hanks was in it.
Yes. I am starting to get concerned about your mental deterioration, to be honest.
So yeah, cool, big, good choice.
I thought so. Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser.
Again, that would have been on my list already if I hadn't thought we'd
already
already done it.
Considered it was, but you didn't already watch it last week, no?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
cool. Well, in that case,
cool. Yeah, good choice.
Join us next week, listeners, for Big.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. See you next time. Bye.
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rock!
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rock!
Janet!
Dr. Scott!
Janet!
Brad!
Rock!